Yo, what is up guys? Blake here bringing you a special video today talking about the new spells in the test room. So if you guys didn't know, there is a new pack. It's not currently in the test room. They're trying to be sneaky about it, but I think it's called something like the Ravenwood Rangers pack, something like that, and it has 3 new spells. So the way that these spells and the pack is going to work is exactly like the Grizzleheim and the Celestia pack, where basically the only way to unlock the spells, which you have to get through spell elements, is from gambling and from the pack. There is no other way to get it. You cannot farm for them. You cannot do beast moon. You cannot do PvP. There's absolutely zero way to get the spells unless you buy the packs, which I think is really unfortunate since these are already people that are paying membership to pay the game. I think it's bad, but let's just talk about the spells and get into it. So starting with the Storm one, which is probably, I think, the most interesting of the 3, but it's a bit weird, is Berry Surprise. So essentially what it does is it's, I think, a 50-50 chance of either doing damage to your opponent that you select or yourself. It's not an AoE, it's a single target. So at the base version of the spell, which is what most people are going to use if they have it, you're going to end up doing 500 damage or 500 health to yourself. So you're going to be enchanting this with like a Solar Surge, which would make it 700, or an epic enchant in PvE, which would make it 800. So for 4 pips, it does a decent amount of damage, but the fact that it either does damage or hit is just so unreliable. I can't really see this spell being, you know, viable in PvP or PvE. Could it be a fun, cool thing to use? Sure, but the fact that you have to get it from packs is really unfortunate. But yeah, that's the Storm spell. Here are the upgrades if anybody's interested. But yeah, kind of a weird spell. And then this one here is you have like, it does either the damage or the health, and then you have another RNG chance to get health or damage. So this version might be good. The fact that it does damage or heal, and then has a chance for damage, that means that this spell theoretically could do 550 twice. So for 4 pips, you could end up doing like Wild Bolt damage, but then at that point, why not just use Wild Bolt, right? So I don't know, but yeah, that's the Storm spell. Moving on, we got the mint one, and it is called Splash Squatch. So this one's a bit weird too. It's kind of like Snow Pigs, but kind of worse in my opinion. The damage is okay, you know what I mean? It does good damage, right? Like this is the most damage you can get for a myth for 4 pips, you know, through spells, right? Like Humongous Frog, Cyclops, that don't do as much. Ninja Pigs obviously does more, but it is 5 pips. So I mean, this is kind of cool, you know, the fact that like with an epic enchant you can do 700 damage for 4 pips, but then you have like the Mid Dragoon Amulet with the AoE for 4 pips, and it does like 750 or something like that. So even then, I mean, this isn't really worth it. And then this basically just removes stuff after, which I guess is okay, and like situationally it could be good, but I don't really think it's worth it on a spell. So let me know what you guys think. I don't think this spell will get any playtime in PvP or PvE, but people might do it with some cool fun strats, whatever, just mess around. So last but not least, let's go on to Camp Bandit. So here is the life spell. I was kind of confused how the spell works, and honestly, I still am. I saw like a video on it, but then I only saw one version of it, so I don't know exactly what the heck was going on. But basically what it does, at least this version, right, is that you do 295 damage, which is really bad. Like that's like 5 pips, and you're doing 300 damage basically. So even with an epic enchant, 5 pips, 595 damage, not only is that hard to combo, hard to get the pips, like that's just bad damage, right? What it does is it converts, I don't know if it does all or just one, but it converts a or all traps or a limit of traps on you to life traps. So let's say you have a 40% fire trap on you, and you use this spell on your opponent. That 40% fire trap will now be converted to a 40% life trap on yourself still, which is kind of weird. For 5 pips, I'm not sure if that's worth it. I guess it's interesting. And then this one of the spell, I'm assuming is that it converts the trap on you to 50% of it. So like, let's say your opponent has a 40% fire buff on you, right? It would convert that 40% to a 20%. I think that's what it does. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I know that this one just converts the trap on you to a live trap. I'm not exactly sure what this one does, but yeah, kind of a weird spell. If they up the damage, maybe it'd be okay situationally if somebody fainted you or something, but still, I think this spell is pretty neat, and it's not an AoE. All these spells are single target. So yeah, those are the new spells. Let me know what you guys think. Again, it's from the new pack, the Ravenwood Rangers or whatever, that will be coming out when this update drops to the live realm. I am personally really unhappy about it. I think it's very stupid that you could buy membership for the game, play it year round, and not be able to access spells for your school because they're locked behind a pack. which is really, really unfortunate. The fact that you have to gamble to get spellaments and then to upgrade your spell, it just, I mean, look at Nautilus, right? These spells are not pay to win, right? They're not good, in my opinion. I think most people agree. They're kind of just quirky, you know, maybe fun spells to use if you're into that. But, you know, you have a spell like Nautilus, which I still don't have because I don't want it. I'm on my Storm. But Nautilus is literally the definition of pay to win. You upgrade that to the max tier, Nautilus is an insanely powerful card that will literally win you games, and it's a card that Fire really shouldn't have. So at least I'm glad that these spells are like broken and are gonna mess up PvP or make it, you know, where it's unfair in PvE, where it's like, wow, okay, if I don't buy these spells, then, you know, I'm not as good as other people or stuff. So that's good, but I still don't like that it's from pack. So there are a couple more changes that I want to show you guys. Let's get into that real quick. Alrighty, so I talked about this in the last video that I posted with the spell updates where each school got their own one. They actually ended up changing Obsidian Colossus, in my opinion, for the better. This was a really, really good change. So it does the exact same damage as before, but the difference is that it costs 1 extra pip and you get a second weakness. That is huge, because the difference between going from an even pip spell to an odd pip spell, so for example 4 to 5 or, you know, 6 to 7, is much more than going from odd to even pip. So 5 to 6 is basically the same combo potential. Obviously there are some differences, and you know, you might not be able to combo everything as well, but typically even odd to even change is really not that bad. It's generally good, but even to odd is not a good thing. So 1 extra pip means that in PvP you get that extra 50 damage from Solar Surge. So they basically gave it an extra 50 damage, which is nice, right? That honestly would have made the card better in my opinion, even if they didn't add the extra weakness, because even though you're only getting 50 extra damage for 1 pip, at least for me personally, like 5 pips is kind of hard to combo. You kind of want your new pips for things like mana burn and stuff like that. So I would have, even if they had taken off the weakness, I would have thought it would be better. But the fact that they're giving you a second weakness now, that is huge. The fact that you put 2 debuffs on 1 turn means that you know and you're guaranteed that for the next 2 turns, unless they get like a wand Maycast or something, they will have a debuff on them. This is big because you can stack weaknesses. If you put a -20 weakness from, a -25 weakness from this spell, and then you slap on a -30, that's way better than a V Plague. The amount of damage that you're limiting from that spell is like over 50%, which is huge. So the potential this spell has is actually pretty strong. I'm a little bit worried that it might continue to make balance this very sort of annoying school to play, kind of like Death, where you basically just spam debuffs, in which case for balance it would be mana burn, you know, set shields, braces, weakness, this spell. I don't think that, you know, people should just spam that, but I think this is a really cool spell and I'm excited to test it out. I will have a video using it probably coming in the next few days, so stay tuned for that. I really like this change though overall, and I'm pretty excited to use it. So yeah, last but not least, oh, and I actually want to talk about the health changes, but that'll be last. They did change Animate as well, so let me show you guys that real quick. But basically how Animate used to work is it used to be 1 to 14 pips, and it would just dump all your pips. Now they changed it in 2 ways. So they changed how the actual spell works, where basically instead of it being 1 to 14, did I just pass it? Yeah, I did. It's 1 to 5 pips. So let's say you have 10 pips, you want to summon a minion, it's not going to dump all your pips, it'll go for the 5 pip one because you're over 5 pips, right? Which is really cool. So there's 5 different minions that you can summon, which I think all do mostly the same thing. Obviously the higher pip ones might do a little bit more, but generally speaking they have the same card set, and then they might have like some more HP. But I've heard that the cards that they can use are actually quite strong. They can Deathblade, Death Trap, Feint, Doom and Gloom, they can V-Plague even, they can go for poison, like they can actually put in work. So this should be pretty interesting. I'm excited to see Deaths use Animate. The fact that you can get a 1 pip minion is also like pretty solid, you know what I mean? Because like no school can really get a small pip minion except for Myth, right? Myth can use the 0 pip minion. Every other school, if they want to summon a minion, they have to use at least 2 turns worth of pips, with the minimum being 3 pips, right? That most schools have. So this will be pretty cool, and I'm excited to use that. I'm definitely gonna make a video using this at some point in the future, so stay tuned for that as well. And then the last thing that I wanted to talk about is base health changes. So if you guys didn't know, they did minor adjustments to the base health of basically all schools in the game. This will obviously affect both PvP and PvE. This is not a, you know, oh, these schools aren't as good, so we're going to change it. They just want to create a foundation for the future changes. This is basically the beginning of a series of changes that they are doing. So They're going to be doing gear audits and stat audits in the future as well, and they just want to go with health right now and kind of get a nice clean foundation where they think would make sense to go with that in the future. So what I think they did is there were 3 schools that got like legitimately buffed, right? It was Death, Life, and Storm. I believe Death got around 200. It might be 210 or 2, you know, something like that, right? But I think Death got around 200. Or no, sorry. Death got around 300. Death got around 300, Life got around 350, and I believe Storm got around 200. So that's pretty solid. Those 3 schools are arguably the weaker schools in terms of like, at least for PvP, those 3 schools are definitely on the weaker side and have never really been on the more powerful side, except in like the early stages of the game. In recent times, those 3 schools have not even been close to the top 3 schools unless like Life was jading and stuff like that. So I think it's cool that those 3 are getting held. I think Ice, all the other schools didn't change by more than like 50 HP. So Ice, I think, lost 17 health. Behemoths are crying everywhere. It's really sad, but, you know, I'm personally happy about it. But yeah, that's a cool change. I'm glad they added health to those 3 schools. I think Storm could even get some more, but like I said, this is just the beginning of a series of changes. They're going to end up adding more in the future with like gear and stat audits. Yeah, that's basically everything they added new in the test ROM. Let me know what you guys think of the new spells and the new pack as well. Like I said, I'm really not a fan of the new pack at all. I was ranting about it on stream yesterday if you guys were watching that. But yeah, at least the spells aren't broken in PvP or PvE, so they're kind of just quirky spells that are, you know, whatever. But yeah, I'm still not a fan of that. I'm a big fan of the changes that they made though to Animate and Obsidian Colossus, and I really like the health changes as well, and I'm excited for the future. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. As always, peace out, guys.